So let's talk about these Monolith Soft leaks, Xenoblade leaks for 2026. And if you've been watching this channel, you guys know I've been on top of this. I've talked about Monolith Soft having something new for 2026 now at the beginning of the year, at the end of the last year in 2025, and I felt that there would be something big based off of current trends that I've seen with Monolith Soft and just based off of what we've seen in the pattern of Monolith Soft titles and how they release things. So it does seem like something is happening based off of this new rumor or leak from one of the voice actors, which has happened before, which we'll break down and kind of get into. We'll go over all the different stuff that has happened when it comes to Xenoblade, Xenosaga, the new IP, and we'll talk about a number of other big Nintendo Switch 2 content because there's just so much stuff every single day. But before we get into that, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are new, and we're giving that away once we hit 150,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, click that notification bell, and drop a comment below on what you're most excited to see from Monolith Soft if we get something on Nintendo Switch 2. Okay, so let's get into the topic here. Voice actor. Apparently, their page leaks a Xenoblade game for 2026. So a new listing has been found, which may hint at a new Xenoblade Chronicles release for 2026. Over on Spotlight, fans have apparently spotted a page for Caitlin Thorburn. We did look into it to see if we could find it ourselves, but had no luck. It may not be publicly available, but we're marking this as a rumor regardless. Now, also, I think Wario64 and many other people posted it before it went down or something happened to it, so it does seem like something happened here. Now, getting to the crux of the matter here, Thorburn's page indicates that she worked on a Xenoblade Chronicles game for 2026. Adding on to that, the role is for Cosmos, one of the hardest blades to obtain in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, or the easiest if you're lucky. Thorburn also voiced Telos and Nim in the RPG. So we're going to take a look at this page right here before we get to the last part of what Nintendo Everything is saying. And what you can see here, you see Caitlin Thorburn, you see the Spotlight website, and I think it's kind of like a IMDb, or it's kind of like a LinkedIn type of thing. It just shows like what you've worked on and like your range and all the different type of stuff. So more information on different types of credits, whether it's film, television, stage, radio, all that stuff. So it does seem like that's at least legit here. And then if you go to further, it seems like it says date 2026, role Cosmos, and it says video game company Nintendo. So that's what people are pointing out that she did recently. She also did Adventures in Odyssey, animation type. She did something there as well. But we're focused on what she potentially did with Xenoblade Chronicles and Cosmos. So Cosmos, that's Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is interesting, and it's interesting for a number of reasons, because I want to relate something that Nate the Hate had to say, but he said it was just pure his speculation. But the more that I think about it, was it just all speculation? Yes, it was from him, but who knows? We'll talk about that in just a bit. Okay, so let's get back into it here. Now, assuming the listing is accurate, it's possible that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 could be returning this year. Could we see a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Definitive Edition on Nintendo Switch 2? We can't completely rule out a new game either. If this is real, this wouldn't be the first voice actor leak for the series. Jenna Coleman, who played Melia, essentially leaked Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and her reprisal of the role months before the project was announced. And let's talk about this. Now we can kind of get into it here. Nate the Hate also stated in his Nintendo Direct or Nintendo 2026 prediction type of thing, he said that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 could come back, but he was just guessing. He was just guessing, or was he? No, I'm joking. He was guessing. But people have talked about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 coming back. One, because it's the best-selling Monolith Soft game of all time. So out of all the time that Monolith Soft has been around, that's the best-selling game. Two, it needs the most work. Out of all of Monolith Soft's games, I would probably say Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is in the worst shape. Even if you play it on the Nintendo Switch 2, it is a bit better with the frame rate in some places, but it still needs a lot of work when it comes to quality of life features, when it comes to the resolution, the performance. There's just so many things that can be increased in Xenoblade Chronicles to make it a better game, especially with the quality of life stuff. If you balance some of those blades and make it to where you can get them easier, or you adjust some things, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 jumps up to a significantly better game, and I already love the game. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is far more polished and far better when it comes to when it first released and the patches that they did afterwards, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has the potential with its battle system, with its unique elements of the game. If they fixed a lot of this stuff, I think it could easily jump above Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for some people, and maybe myself included. I love Xenoblade 3 the most, and Future Redeemed, the DLC. Torna was incredible. I do love me some Torna, but imagine a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Definitive Edition that fixes everything that I'm talking about, increases the resolution to 4K, increases the performance to 60 FPS, and makes it to where portable mode is significantly better. I think people are going to double dip on that one, or maybe even triple dip. You got the digital, you've got the physical, plus you've got this one here. I know I'd be triple dipping because I have the digital, I have the physical, I have the special edition, so it might be a quadruple dip at this point. But either way, I know I'd be getting back into this ASAP. So I hope that if it is going to be a remake or remaster or an upport or whatever you want to call it, that it's Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now, of course, I want all the Xenoblade Chronicles games to come to the Nintendo Switch 2. I think they all deserve to be free updates or to come back in some type of way, because all of them could honestly use updates. They're all 30 FPS with some dips. They all have resolution that's not necessarily great. They all have portable modes that could use work, that could be a lot better. So they all need updates. Out of all of them, Xenoblade Chronicles X is probably the most technically sound out of all the games, but even that still needs 60 FPS and maybe a bit better resolution, although it's okay. So I think that if they're able to bring back all of them, that's great, but maybe she does something here with this. Or there's the possibility that this is Xenosaga, and maybe there's something happening. Now, this is a long shot, but I did make a video a bit ago because Bandai Namco's Xenosaga trademark or listing or whatever you want to call it disappeared. So there was some speculation that maybe Nintendo purchased Xenosaga or got a licensed deal or a co-ownership or something so they can bring back Xenosaga and put it out on the Nintendo Switch 2. That's also been some theories that have been floating around. Once again, not necessarily a strong theory supported by a lot of people, but what is supported by people is that Xenosaga is going to come back. If you play Xenoblade Chronicles 3 plus Future Redeemed, obviously Xenoblade Chronicles 2 with Tielos and with Cosmos, then yeah, it does seem like Xenosaga could be something in Nintendo's future if Nintendo, Monolith Soft, and Bandai Namco wanted to get something done with that. So we'll see what happens there. I hope that it's Xeno 2 or it's a new game. If it's a new game, that would be great. I still feel that Monolith Soft has been hard at work on that new RPG that they've been talking about. So maybe it's that, but she's saying that she played Cosmos. So would Cosmos be in that brand new RPG? Would it be a Xenosaga 4 or essentially just a new Xenosaga rebranded in some type of way? The possibilities are endless at this point. There's no telling what Monolith Soft is going to do, and Monolith Soft is always known for surprising us. I was shocked when they revealed Xenoblade Chronicles X back in 2013. I was flabbergasted when they revealed Xenoblade Chronicles 2 back in 2017. I was even shocked when they revealed Xenoblade Chronicles 3 in 2021 or 2022 when they revealed that. That was just amazing. Every time, it's just always crazy to see that Monolith Soft logo and to see those characters and the art and everything, because you know a Takahashi game when you see one. So I'm hoping there's just something, and I think that it will happen. I've talked about it. 2026, it's going to be a big year for Monolith Soft. I think something is going down, but we're going to have to wait and see on this one. So what do you guys think about what this whole situation is with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or a new Monolith Soft game? Let me know in the comment section below. Okay, let's move on to the Nintendo Switch 2 and something that is somewhat of a victory lap. And sorry guys, I have to talk about this because it was something that I saw before certain content creators make and everything. And the Nintendo Switch 2 officially has outsold the Wii U. 7 months compared to 4 years. And I want to break down exactly why this happened. This is something I talked about on my live stream, but I want to just break it down really. when it comes to people saying that Nintendo wasn't going to have more success after the Wii U, they were not factoring in the fact that the Nintendo Switch was going to combine their home console and portable, that it was the successor to the Nintendo 3DS and to the Wii U. And if you combine the sales of the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U, that totals around 90 million units. So with good marketing, with better games, with a more consistent lineup, and with a really good gimmick, which the Nintendo Switch 1 did, that's how you got the explosion of 155 million units plus. Now, I didn't think it would sell that well, upwards of PS2 numbers, but I knew that it would sell over 100 million units because I felt that they can do a significantly better job given the circumstances with the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS. Now, fast forward all of these years to 2025, and there was a lot of controversy with the Nintendo Switch 2. People talking about the price, people talking about the game key cards, people having all sorts of misinformation. Some of it was valid. I think $80 Mario Kart, that's valid. I think that some people saying, hey, there's not an OLED screen. It would have been great if there was an OLED, considering the Nintendo Switch OLED and that screen, the battery life. There's definitely some things that I agree with, but there was a lot of nonsense. And with that nonsense, people tried to push this narrative and still pretty much pushed it all the way up until the 17 million plus units that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to fail, or that it's continuing to be a failure. And people swore up and down that that was going to be the case. And that just hasn't happened. And I think the reason why is because they've taken truly what people loved about the Nintendo Switch 1 and just made it better. The Nintendo Switch 2 is essentially what everyone wanted from the Nintendo Switch 1 for a successor. Just make a more powerful Switch. That is what people wanted. Make a more powerful Switch, add some more features in there, and put out games. That's what people wanted, and that's what you got with the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, it came with a bigger price tag, which people don't necessarily love, but if you want to be able to play Resident Evil Requiem day one, you want to be able to play games like Pragmata in apparently 60 frames per second in portable mode and in docked mode, you're going to have to spend at least $450. Most systems, if you want to be able to play the biggest and best AAA games, it's going to be very difficult to be able to play those in the quality that people have been saying that they want for third parties on the Nintendo Switch 2. It's going to be hard to be able to play that if your system is only $300 or $400. It's tough. Look at the Steam Deck. Steam Deck does not come with a dock. The LCD model, that's $400, and they discontinued it because they did not want to be losing or bleeding money considering the cost of RAM and components and all of that. It's expensive. Steam Deck, once again, with the $550 model, then there's a $650 model, or 500 something and 600 something, and those are technically weaker and don't come with the dock. And they have some advantages with the amount of space that they have or memory in addition to the OLED screen, but still, it's expensive to run these. And these new portable handhelds that are coming out, these are all upward of nearly $1,000 for some of the best ones, or $600 to $700 for some of the lower end ones. So if you want a system that could at least try to get some of these games, you're going to have to spend a bit more. Otherwise, it's just not feasible or possible. And once again, it comes with everything all packed in one: the Joy-Cons, the dock itself, the HDMI cable. Once again, not perfect. There are absolutely things to criticize, and I'm right there. But people that were trying to use the anger with some of the stuff to say that the system wasn't going to do well or to try to downplay it, it was just silly in my opinion. And now it's absolutely crushed the total of the Wii U in record-breaking time. And there were definitely a lot of people that did that. Now, going forward, it's going to be tough to keep the momentum. It's not going to be easy to keep the momentum or the sales pace past the Nintendo Switch 1, because the Nintendo Switch 1 is cheaper. The Nintendo Switch 1 had a bit of a better economy. The Nintendo Switch 1 had a $200 Nintendo Switch Lite, and of course the OLED came in and other things that helped out. So I think going forward, it's going to be tough for Nintendo to keep this type of momentum with the prices and everything. But what they can do is, one, keep the price the same. I know that they talked about that recently, how they're evaluating the potential price increase, but there's nothing right now. So to me, if they can keep the price at $450, or if they do have to raise the price to $500, please make it to where everything comes with at least 2 games. I think you put in there Mario Kart World in addition to putting in there like Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, a free download. If you do that, create some extra value that's not going to cost you more. So that's the reason why overall that the Nintendo Switch 2 is off to this record-breaking start, smashing records everywhere, is because they followed up what people really liked and wanted with the Nintendo Switch 1. So as more and more people say, okay, I'm done with the Nintendo Switch 1, what's these games over here that I can play on the Nintendo Switch 2? And they see Mario Kart, and they see Hyrule Warriors, or they see Pokemon, they see Zelda, they see all these different games that are going to be coming. Pocopia's coming up here, Mario Tennis. More and more people from that large base of people that still turn on their Nintendo Switch 1s, they're going to migrate over to the Nintendo Switch 2, along with picking up new people as well. So I do see that the Nintendo Switch 2 will probably be a 100 million selling plus console, and I'm not going to go as far to say it's going to beat out the Nintendo Switch 1, but most systems don't beat out the Nintendo Switch 1. Nintendo does not have to outsell the Nintendo Switch 1 because there's only one system that has outsold it, and not everybody even believes that the PS2 even outsold the Nintendo Switch 1. For many people, it might be that the Nintendo Switch 1 is the best-selling system of all time at 155 million units plus. So it's one of those things to where it's very hard. That's why there's a massive gap between the Nintendo DS, the Nintendo Switch 1, the PS2. Those systems all have 150 million plus, but then the fourth place system is significantly lower than that. There's no other systems that are even close in that 150 million range because it's very difficult to hit that type of number. So that's the reason why the Nintendo Switch 2 absolutely destroyed the Wii U in its sales so quickly, and why it's going to be one of the better selling Nintendo systems when it's all said and done, in my opinion. So what do you guys think about this? You can let me know in the comment section below. And for the final topic here, we're going to discuss Borderlands 4 and what is happening here, because apparently Nintendo decided to give them the creator's voice, and they repaid the favor by pausing development of the game indefinitely. So let's talk about what's happening here. The statement with the delay with Borderlands 4 on the Nintendo Switch 2. Quote, "We made the difficult decision to pause development on that SKU." He's talking about Borderlands 4 on the Switch 2. "Our focus continues to be delivering quality post-launch content for players on the ongoing improvements to optimize the game. We're continuing to collaborate closely with our friends at Nintendo. We have PGA Tour 2K25 coming out and WWE 2K26, and we're incredibly excited about bringing more of our titles to the platform in the future." So essentially it's a pause on development. Maybe they're trying to push resources over to some of these other games so they can get them out and get them going. Now, the thing with Borderlands 4, and DocTrey81 made a great point about this, I think that potentially this is paused or canceled because they saw that the game didn't necessarily hit sales expectations and didn't run the best on other platforms and had some major issues. So why should they continue with that when they can just move those resources over to something else that's probably going to sell better, like WWE 2K26 or the PGA Tour game, or maybe some other game that they can get ported over to the Nintendo Switch 2. So I think that might be the situation here with Borderlands 4. Now, I was never super excited for this. I wanted to see how it could potentially run because it's an Unreal Engine 5 game, and I thought that maybe I'd check it out after a bit. I never buy Borderlands games day one anymore. I did back in the day, but not anymore. They're just not necessarily for me, and I didn't buy Borderlands on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series just because I usually wait till it's super cheap before I do that. So it's one of those things to where it's not really big for me. I already got a lot of games that I'm going to be playing, but I understand for some people that were waiting on this game that it's very upsetting, or it could be very upsetting that this is happening. So we'll see what happens, but I would say plan on this game probably being canceled, but we will see. So what do you guys think about everything that we talked about here? A lot of content. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.